Hi, this is Kitty Lee.
Can't hear. Come on.
Thank you all for your patience. It is a pleasure to see you. Welcome to the first monthly meeting in 2026. I hope that your new year will be fulfilling and give you all of the good things that you deserve and will give women and girls more rights, more freedom, and more opportunities. I'll turn the program over to Rosa.
Good morning, buenos dias, bonjour. Thank you so much for joining us. Like my fellow co-chair, Pamela, has said, the first monthly meeting of 2026. We're so happy for you to be here. Please introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us of the good feelings that you're experiencing right now. And maybe not, but at least let's give some encouragement and fellowship, sisterhood to everyone else. Thank you so much for joining. We will begin with forum updates from the co-chairs. So first off, our forum, our NGO CSW 70 forum, will be beginning March 8th, which is our consultation day, International Women's Day, and the forum really begins on March 9th to the 20th. Now, we've just got news, and I'm sure we'll get more news from our representative from UN Women later in the program, that the UN has a holiday on March 20th, which is Eid. So that is an official UN holiday. There won't be any meetings that day. So the official CSW ends on March 19th. Our forum will continue until March 20th. Regarding parallel events, many of you have already registered for your in-person parallel events. We will tell you about the training for that. But very importantly, we still have applications open for virtual parallel events. And that's very important because we're hearing from colleagues about the difficulties to travel to the United States for the CSW, with now certain countries banned, others with bans for visas, very complicated. But in order for you to remain engaged and to provide your input into the CSW, we still have space for you on the virtual parallel events using our platform WOVA, which is very interactive. And so we want to make sure that you know of this. The deadline for that is in 1 month, February 20th. So there is time for that. If you have any questions about that, you can put your question in the chat, or you can attend a training on that, and we'll tell you more about the trainings that we're having. We have a lot of information to share about trainings. We also want to let you know about exhibit booths that are part of this WOVA platform, which are for the 2 weeks of the NGO Forum, where you can feature your organization, your network, your coalition. You can feature your events. You can have events as part of this exhibit booth. It's a special feature. Very few have done it on our platform, but there is space for that. We also have the opportunity for you to showcase your events in the handbook ads. There are a lot of different price categories if you want to feature on the online handbook. The deadline is March 2nd, so there's a lot of time for you to consider it and prepare your flyers, documentation, anything you want for the handbook ads, or as I said, the exhibit booth. We're going to put a link in the chat where you can get more information about the virtual parallel events, the exhibit booth, and the handbook ads. As you know, CSW, official CSW registration ends on January 23rd. We will hear more about that from our UN rep, but just to give an alert for those who have not registered for the in-person official meeting, our registration for the NGO forum will open in a couple of weeks. We ask that everyone register for this, especially if you're in person coming to our events at the church center, where we will ask for you to use your QR code. You can either print it ahead of time or on your phone, where you can show it upon entry. This is part of our security. So we want to remind people about that, making sure that you register for our forum. And if you are here and you are considering getting engaged in a different way, we are also having volunteer signups. So if you have time or you're a student and you want to volunteer, we will share information, the link. You can also write to info@cswngo.org so that if you're interested in volunteering. And one last announcement about our artisan fair. We have that on the first week of the NGO forum for our colleagues to feature some of their wonderful arts and crafts. The applications are still open until this Friday. So if you know of anyone or you yourself, there are certain requirements for that. So please read about it on our webpage at NGOCSW.org. So those applications are due this Friday, the 23rd. And I will hand over to my co-chair, Pamela, for more announcements. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosa. We have a number of announcements, and I'm going to suggest that you have paper and pencil handy because there are quite a number of dates. We're going to have parallel event organizer training. And for those of you who have already signed up for parallel events, we suggest that you register. The link is going into the chat. The session is going to be Thursday, January 22nd at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. It's really important for you to make sure that the person who you have assigned to be your tech facilitator attend that session. So, and if you have not already signed up to host a parallel event, but you're thinking about it now because you know that the situation is becoming more and more concerning, and you want to use your voice to let others know, but you haven't signed up, we suggest that you sign up as well so that you are prepared. So the parallel event organizer training is January 22nd at 11 a.m. Rosa spoke about the exhibit booth and handbook ads. We're having a training session for those. And it's good for you to understand that you may find that by attending the training, you are motivated to actually secure an exhibit booth or a handbook ad. If you are having, for instance, a session during CSW, but it's going to be somewhere else. Let's say, for instance, it's going to be at Columbia University. You can purchase a handbook ad to advertise that session. So even though you would not be listed in our calendar, you would have a in the exhibit booths. Let's say, for instance, you had a group that made a film that you want to show during CSW. You can show that film in your exhibit booth. So please think about this very flexibly, and sign up for the so that you can see what the possibilities are. We're going to have participant training at the February 17th monthly meeting. And there's going to be a link in the chat. And even though we will open the registration participants the beginning of February, I think that by attending the February session, you will be able to maximize your engagement with WUVA and with the forum. We're having a virtual consultation day on International Women's Day on Sunday, the 8th of March. It's at 10 a.m. and it's going to be a webinar. So we're going to ask you to save the date. And we really want to spread the good news about this consultation day, because I think at this time it's probably more critical than ever before that we come together in solidarity and with a deliberateness that makes us firm in our desire to move forward and not give back any of the gains that we've had. Something exciting is on March 10th, we're going to have the NGO CSW 70 forum reception. And for those of you who attended last year, you know that a good time was had by all. It's going to be at the Salvation Army, and excuse me, it's going to be at the Salvation Army as it was last year. We're having the same fabulous DJ Pre, and we know it's going to be a very, very good time. And yes, Nasrin, it's going to be March 10th, Tuesday, March 10th at 6:30, and the tickets will be on sale. Conversation circles will once again happen in person on March 10th and 12th. We will have them at 10 a.m. We're going to have them at 10 a.m., 11 a.m. on March 10th and 12th. Excuse me. So that is that. What I just gave you are a list of the dates for the calendar. And before I go on to our meeting with a member of the CSW Bureau, I'll stop for questions. Are there any questions about the information that was just shared?
Hi, this is Yolanda from American Mothers. We're the voice of 85 million mothers in the United States. I have a question for the reception. So it will be published through an email or a special information as to how we go about it. It's something
Yes,
that we enjoyed every year. Thank you so very much.
you're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, it will be email and it will be on our website.
And then I have a subsequent question, and this is on logistics mainly. We've always had like 20 of our NGO members attend United Nations Congress, but this year we are far with 23 because we are including the panel members as well that became members of American Mothers. Would there be any procedure to increase us being allowed 3 more participants other than just the 20 that we've had? Because otherwise, we'll have to adjust the numbers or reduce the very important people that we would like to attend.
Thank you for that. important question. The size of the delegation set by the UN, NGO CSW, New York, has no input as to the makeup of the delegation. So that's a question that you should pose to UN Women, although the size of the delegations it seems to be set at 20. But when UN Women is here, I think that you can pose that question to him. And I see Shayla's hand is up. Good morning, afternoon.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Shaila Rao, Mystery, Vice President of U.S. Women's Caucus. The consultation day is on Sunday at 10 o'clock, and I usually goes on for 2 hours or more. Will it be longer? And what I was thinking of was many of us go and register that morning. So we try and listen on our phones. I don't know if we found a solution to that, those long lines on Sunday morning to register. So is it 4 hours so that, if you register soon, we can run back to our hotels and listen to the consultation?
It's 10 to 1.
10 to 1.
Day is
4
10 to
hours.
3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah,
Okay. There's no solution to that, I guess.
Right. And to be honest with you, Sheila, we really wanted to have it in person.
Yeah. Those were wonderful for those who remember. You guys did an amazing job.
And they are wonderful in person.
Yeah.
But we don't know if the climate will allow it this year. So we opted for virtual, and fingers crossed, next year we will be able to have it in person.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah. So my last update is the meeting that Rosa and I had with Flavia Umulisa, who is she's a Rwandan diplomat, and she's the second counselor at the Permanent Mission of Rwanda to the United States. And along with Noah Ori from Liechtenstein, she is the negotiator. She's a vice chair of the Bureau, the CSW Bureau, and she is the co-negotiator for CSW 70. And it was a very, very interesting and hopeful conversation that we had with her. She told us that the zero draft would be out this month, and that because the agreed conclusions would be finalized before CSW, we know it's extremely important for activists to respond to the zero draft immediately, for you to get your thoughts together and to send in your comments immediately. Don't wait until the last minute. You want them to get them in time for them to consider your viewpoint and include them into the agreed conclusions. She also stated that in accordance with the CSW revitalization statement, the agreed conclusions would be concise. And we did ask her to make sure that they were implementable and that they would truly serve the needs of women and girls. It would not just be words on paper. It would be something that could actually serve women and girls and improve their lives. And with that, I'll turn it over to Rosa.
Thank you so much, Pamela. Just to re-emphasize how important it is that people know the negotiations will not be in New York. And so you have to reach your delegations, get on the delegations and advocate. And I have one announcement, and then I'm going to introduce our former co-chair, Ivy Cook, who will be providing more information and recommendations that you all can use in this outreach prior to the negotiations. The NGO CSW New York Committee sits on the ACT Strategic Advocacy and Communications Working Group. We've been updating you about this. It is a program for gender-based violence prevention, and it is we have partners of UN Women, the EU, and the Fund for Gender-Based Violence. It is the Strategic Advocacy and Communications Working Group. So one of the points that we've been working on are key recommendations to the Bureau, the CSW Bureau, on the Day for Gender-Based Violence that is happening during the commission. That is one recommendation input that we're providing on behalf of ACT and NGO CSW, New York. We've also joined last December the 16 Days of Activism Against Violence Against Women, the Unite campaign. We've provided an online article about violence, digital violence, and I could put that in the chat so you can link to that. That was part of the 16 days communication, and we're planning more joint work for the CSW in terms of tracking some of the events, making them available for people who are focusing on this area of violence against women and gender-based violence. So if you have any input or anything, please put in the chat or send it to us at info@ngocsw.org. At this time, I want to bring on Ivy, former co-chair, and who is now with Marlene McLean, the co-chair of the Advocacy Research Group. And this is the group that develops recommendations for the CSW. And they've done a fabulous job. I want you to give a lot of cheer and love to this group. And some folks I see are on it, Shayla, Verity, Linda, others who are on. Thank you for all the work that you're doing in this, Shireen and Dara, Mabel. So if we can have Ivy on to present these recommendations and also give an update on the NGO CSW Working Group on Peace and Gender Equality.
Sure. Hello? You can hear me now, right?
Yes, we could.
Hi. Hello, everyone. So thank you for the introduction, Rosa. And yes, the Advocacy Research Group consists of a group. It's not just me. I'm representing the group. Marlene is, my partner in this. She could even be spotlighted too, not just me. But anyway, so we want to go over the 8 key recommendations that we have come together with. And again, a lot of hard work behind the scenes to bring this together. And for each of these recommendations, we will definitely post them. I don't think they're up on the website yet, so they will be posted. And for each, we had like a heading, and then we had a paragraph, and then some very specific like asks underneath. And so I'm going to just read, I don't know, Marlene, maybe we could even split it up so it's not just my voice all the time. I don't know if we have it. Do we have it on a slide as a presentation? If not, we're not going to read the whole thing because then you guys will all fall asleep. So
we have a link that we will put in the chat.
Okay, so you could follow along. But the key, so there were 8 of them. And so the first was around expanding transitional justice and from accountability to structural transformation. And I'll just share the little blurb under it. And it says transitional justice includes truth-seeking prosecutions, reparations, and reforms to prevent recurrence through legal, institutional, and societal change. It now extends beyond post-conflict context to address root causes of violence, systemic discrimination, and enduring structural inequalities. So that was the first one. And I don't know, Marlene, do you want to do the next one, or maybe
I
we can
don't have them
alternate?
in front of me.
Okay. I'll just do them. And I think maybe the link to might be on the chat. Next is on social justice. It's recognizing all women and girls as agents of change. So transformative systems restructuring for all women and girls' lives requires dismantling discriminatory barriers and recognizing them as change agents. This demands strengthening human rights-based governance and investing in gender-responsive institutions. The goal is ensuring safe, equal access to justice, protected rights, and accountability to live free from violence and structural oppression. And then there are 3 points under that. And then economic justice is the third, on systemic reform and social protections. Economic justice requires full equal access to jobs, contracts, and opportunities for all women and girls to shape economic systems. Unequal access to justice reinforces inequalities through unpaid care, wage discrimination, property rights denial, and political exclusion. Advancing economic justice strengthens social protections. And 3 points, again, please look at those under that, including ILO Convention 190. I know some of the coalition members might be on the call here today. The fourth is political justice, equal and safe political participation. And political justice ensures that all women and girls can fully and safely participate in governance and through voting, holding office, decision-making, and access to remedies. Addressing discriminatory and violent barriers that exclude from governance requires civil society to monitor violations and advocate for supportive laws, networks, and independent bodies. The next is cultural justice, engaging men and boys. Achieving cultural justice for all women requires engaging men and boys as allies by offering healthy, positive models of masculinity and addressing the limiting pressures and stereotypes that limit them. Also, we must counter the rising digital misogyny, elevate constructive male role models, and advance strong laws that ensure shared power, equality, real accountability for gender-based violence. We have digital justice. Did I like? Yeah, okay. Safety, access, and equity for women and girls. Let me go through the next two too. Expanding the conceptualization of justice and the CSW revitalization and liquidity and its impact on our work. That was the conclusion of it. But digital justice, as you know, ensures all women and girls can safely access and benefit from digital technologies without discriminations. Rooted in global frameworks, digital exclusion limits access to education, healthcare, economic opportunity, and civic participation. Achieving digital justice requires removing algorithmic bias, expanding affordable internet, strengthening laws on online harms, and enhancing digital literacy, and expanding the conceptualization of justice. So definition, how do we see justice? The reconceptualization of justice promotes healing and the restoration of social ties extending beyond the law. Reform requires translating statutory advances into improved lived realities, backed by community and individual commitment. Change in hearts, minds, and collective culture is vital for justice and gender equality. And of course, we recognize UN 80 That initiative provides an opportunity to address funding disparities and improve the efficiency of resources to safeguard gender equality programs, to maintain accountability across all 12 critical areas of Beijing platform. Reforms must reinforce UN Women's specialized institutional role rather than weaken it. The liquidity issue has persisted for decades. The UN's work advancing gender equality should not be curtailed through institutional consolidations or efficiency measures, particularly while the UN Charter Article 17 funding obligations remain unmet. So those are what we put forward. And again, you can read more on that. And for each of these, and I don't even know if I counted them correctly, if they were actually 8 or more. I think there were 8. We will have a brief for each one of them. And so the briefs, which will be linked onto the document as well as you'll see it on the website, will have like citations. So actual UN language that can back up these things. As Rosa said, I'll reiterate again, the next few weeks are critical in being in touch with your member states, since we will not negotiate, one more time, we will not negotiate during, they will not us. There will be no intergovernmental negotiations during CSW. Therefore, the next few weeks are really critical. And so we have to work really hard up until around mid-February or so to get our advocacy points across. And so hopefully this will be a good resource for you. And we hope to finish within the next week all of those briefs with the citations, because we're still working on them, but we will finish them soon. And that's it. Marlene, did you have anything else to share?
No, thank you, Ivy. That was very comprehensive.
Yeah. Sorry for... So I guess the other part, and I would like to ask Lily, maybe, I don't know if she has her camera on. Thank you, Marlene. And thank you, ARG Group, for the recommendations once again and your continued efforts. So Lily and I are co-chairing the Peace and Gender Equality Working Group, and we're going to have an informational session this coming Thursday. And it's hybrid. It's going to be in person at the Baha'i offices and as well as virtual. And there is a registration link, and you still have time to register. That will be posted on the chat. And I don't know if Lily wanted to say anything else about that event so that we can sell it even more.
Thank you so much, Ivy. Yes, and we hope that you'll be able to join us, especially in person. But of course, we understand many people won't be able to join online. And the purpose of the meeting is to really build a strong basis of our understanding of the WPS agenda, but also to identify some of the gaps or opportunities. I think there are opportunities for us to bridge the conversation between those who have been working on the agenda for a really long time, but there has been, I think many of us would recognize that there has been a very strong focus on the more operational aspect of the Women, Peace and Security agenda. And I think there's a lot more that can be said about women's role in building a culture of peace, women as peace builders in their within the private sphere, but also within the community setting. So how we can reach these two conversations are ongoing within the UN system. Which is also, of course, contributing to the larger goal of the working group to see when will be possible to have one of the 12 critical areas of concern, which is women in conflict, addressed at the Commission on the Status of Women. This area has not been addressed for more than 20 years within the space of the Commission itself. So we hope that you'll be able to join us. I believe the link has been put in the chat. And I think we all have a lot to contribute to this conversation. So thank you so much for your support.
Thank you, Lily.
Thank you, Ivy, ARG, and the working group, Ivy and Lily, for those updates. Thank you, thank you. At this time, I'd like for Emily Van Vleck, who, along with Naz Minahor, leads the YLYP to give an update. Emily?
Hi. Yes, hi. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, Pamela. So the youth leaders and young professionals subcommittee of this NGO CSW has been revitalized within the last few months. We had a great session in January on the 6th on movement building for a feminist future. The recording to that meeting is going in the chat now, so you can view that. We do meet on the first Tuesday of every month. Our next session will be on February the 3rd at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and that will be on advocacy skill building. So please do share this opportunity with any youth in your networks. Always trying to grow that, and we look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you, Emily. And before I pass it over to Rosa, I also want to thank Marlene McLean, who is working with Ivy as a co-chair of ARG. Thank you all. Rosa?
Thank you. At this time, 40 minutes into the meeting, we are going to pause. And if you can, without going off camera, please stand. We're just trying to do a short health break, meditation. So please stand if you're able to, so that you're moving once within the hour. I know we're asking for an hour and a half. Staff members here are standing too. So please stand, and we're just going to take 3 deep breaths, bringing your hands up, energy from Mother Earth into your personal atmosphere. Feel free to close your eyes. Just deep breath. Energy up from Mother Earth. And now just draw 3 hearts in front of your heart to bring in positive energy into your being. And we're going to end with bringing energy to your upper dantian for wisdom, your middle dantian, your heart area for love, and your lower dantian for energy. Thank you. Now we are going to bring back Emily, who is, one of our board members, Emily Van Vleck. So she is doing a fabulous job helping to organize this meeting with one of our member organizations, Dismantling Discriminatory Laws Using Collective Action to Achieve Gender Responsive Policies. She's also doing a great job with the YLYPs. So we're so happy to have Emily as part of our board, as a youth member, as a hard worker. Emily, the floor is yours for the next part, which will take us into our thematic area.
Thank you so much, Rosa, for that introduction. I am very excited to be opening and organizing today's member-led session. We do these about twice a year, so please be on the lookout for the next time applications go out for our member-led sessions so that you can feature the work that you're doing. So today's session is on dismantling discriminatory laws using collective action to achieve gender-responsive policies. As we know, across regions and communities, discriminatory laws and policies continue to reinforce systemic discrimination against women, limiting their economic participation, leadership, and civic engagement. While these systemic barriers often manifest at national or international levels, they're frequently challenged first by local organizers, community advocates, and member-based organizations such as NGO CSW, responding directly to lived realities. Today's member-led session highlights one of our member organizations and their work in arming advocates with the tools to identify, challenge, and dismantle discriminatory laws and policies. Drawing on local organizing, coalition-based action, and comparative policy experiences, the discussion will explore how women-led community efforts are driving reforms in labor policy, social protection, and governance while holding institutions accountable to gender equality commitments. Now it's my pleasure to bring up Omuamni Wanmi Akingbohangbe from WIMBIS, which is Women in Management, Business, and Public Service. So if we could get her up on the screen, please, and she will be presenting about the work that WIMBIS is accomplishing.
Thank you very much, Emily, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining me from. I'd first of all want to say a big thank you to the board and executive management team of the NGO CSW New York for the opportunity to spotlight WIMBIS and what we have been doing, especially where women in the legal sector in Nigeria are concerned. If I could have my slides up, and I'll take about the next 10 to 15 minutes of your time to run you through the roller coaster initiative we've been on for the past 1 year. WIMBIS, our full name is Women in Management, Business and Public Service, and our mission is to inspire and empower women to attain leadership positions. And we do this by acting as the catalytic force behind them to ensure that they attain these leadership positions and also contribute towards nation building. Please move on the slides. So our Women in Law, we've been in existence for the past 25 years, and this slides just summarize what we've been able to achieve over the past 25 years. So this year is our 25th anniversary. We have a global reach. We have a rich membership base of over 3,000 women leaders across 23 countries, to be precise. And we've churned out quite a number of thought leadership publications based on research insights that we've been able to gather over the years. We've supported women entrepreneurs with grants, and at the same time have various impacts in our community, preparing women for board positions, letting them understand the boardroom dynamics, while also seeking opportunities for board vacancies for them, and sensitizing them about the need to be the change makers for women, driving women in leadership, irrespective of where they find themselves. Now, the exciting initiative I'll be talking to you about today is our Women in Law initiative, which we embarked on a little over a year ago in partnership with the Gates Foundation. Please move on the slides. It's a multi-channeled initiative that tries to address certain gaps that exist, especially here in Nigeria. Now, I'm sure for all of us here as change makers trying to address inequality in one way or the other, we all know that the main thing is to have women who are affected directly by these issues at the decision-making table, where these decisions and policies as well as laws are being made. Now, if you look at Nigeria, for instance, I just want to quickly give you a bit of background on why we had to go this route. The senior advocates in Nigeria is like the equivalent of the rank of the King or Queen Counsel in the UK. I'm not sure of what that rank would be in the US, but the statistics here in Nigeria shows that for over 900 of the senior advocates that we have in Nigeria, only about 4% of them are women. And these are people high up there as far as the laws policies being instilled here in Nigeria concerned, and we have it being male dominated. If you look at the Nigerian Bar Association too, which is like the covering umbrella for lawyers in Nigeria, since its inception, that's over 60 years ago, we've only had one president leading, one female president leading the Nigerian Bar Association. And for the branches across the states, now in Nigeria as a country, we have 36 states. The Nigerian Bar Association has 121 branches, and of this 121 branches, only 5 are female-led. That is just to give you a little bit of background of the gaps that exist and why it is important that these numbers have to change to a balanced perspective so that even when we have policies and laws being churned out, even at the federation level, it has the perspective of women in view. So we embarked on this initiative addressing this via different channels. One of the first things we had to do, which is what I've done here, is to create awareness on the gaps that exist. You'll be surprised that even for the female lawyers here, some of them do not know that the gaps on these numbers that we churned out exist. So we embarked first on an initiative. Please move on the slide. To create awareness on the gaps that exist across the legal sector in Nigeria. And we didn't just do this on our own. We also made references to research publications that have been issued. You can refer to the publication by International Bar Association where all of these statistics have been highlighted. Please move on the slides. I don't think LG at my hand. All right. This gives a summary of what we have, our wins so far, but I'll still just move on before I come back to this. So move on to the next slide. So our campaign, first of all, started by creating the awareness on the gaps that exist. And the first one highlighted there is the one for the senior advocates. And we also painted a picture of what the journey to become a senior advocate in Nigeria looks like. You have to have minimum of 10 years practice, a number of 20 High Court cases solved, and 5 Court Appeal cases, 4 Supreme Court cases, and all of that. This looks good, I mean, for a senior lawyer representative to achieve this. But in reality, a typical law case in Nigeria could take you even a decade to have it concluded. So that's, first of all, one of the constraints that you'd see. And some of these would entail quite a number of travel. Nigeria has a widespread of 36 states, like I mentioned. And most times women are restricted on embarking on this travel based on other domestic responsibilities that they have or being saddled with. So what is the recommendation? And this, we didn't just arrive on this recommendation. We had a stakeholder forum where we brought female lawyers and male lawyers that are already veterans, senior advocates, and senior roles across the nation to come and discuss on these gaps and also prefer solutions and recommendations on how we could tackle this. Please move on to the slides. Next slide. The first thing we were able to achieve is that our campaign reached over 3 million people across the nation, where we use different channels to create this awareness and let people know that there is a gap and there is something calling for urgent attention. Please move on. And after creating the awareness, it was important that we engage different stakeholders across this sector, the legal sector, if I'm precise. My slide is not moving. Please move on to the next slide. So first, we had a visit to the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekere-Ekun. She's the second female Chief Justice in Nigeria in the past 60 years, of which she only just got to that position in the year 2024, also highlighting the gaps that we're talking about. And we sensitized her on the gaps that we have identified in the sector, knowing that she's a key influencer in driving some of the changes that we hope to see. We also presented data to her, as well as sought her feedback and insights on all of this. And she did acknowledge the gaps that exist and also confirm that mentorship of female lawyers is one of the key solutions that we could explore, because most times even the female lawyers, because they do not see so many role models in certain leadership positions, do not even aspire to embark on what the journey would look like. Please move on. After the visits, we also, this happened much later in the year, but we decided to embark on our flagship program where we have the WIMBY's annual conference, attracting people from several countries across the world to spotlight female lawyers in Nigeria that has attained key positions, like the first female president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Dame Priscilla Kuye. Just to let the female lawyers know that this is something that is possible, doable, and worth of celebration. So we celebrated even the first female deaf lawyer in Nigeria, just to let you know that even despite some abilities that might not be available, you still can be effective even in the legal sector. We also celebrated the first female chief judge of the Federal High Court of Nigeria. Please move on with the slides. Alongside this, we embarked on a series of storytelling just to keep showcasing women that have been able to cross this hurdle and create awareness about them. I had also mentioned the stakeholder forum that we mentioned, where we brought together different stakeholders to dialogue on the gaps that exist and the solutions that could be preferred. First from that dialogue is that there was a need to create a roadmap where female lawyers would know what the journey ahead would look like if I want to attain some of these leadership positions, like the one for the senior advocate in Nigeria, to let them know ahead of time and even highlight things they need to prepare for the journey ahead, so that easy attaining of those positions is made easier for them. We have our WIMBY's vodka studio, where we brought even female lawyers that have attained the senior advocate Nigeria, to have the silk robe, to come and talk about their story, the challenges they faced, what they did to make it easier, and other lawyers, firms, partners, senior legal counsel of large corporate organizations, where people will featured their stories just to start to serve as a source of inspiration for female lawyers. But from this dialogue, it was obvious that there was a need to engage young female lawyers and mentor them and also sensitize them on the journey ahead, as well as inspire them to be one who would drive the necessary changes that we're hoping to happen in the legal sector. Please move on. We visited law firms, knowing that these are like the war room for some of these female lawyers. So the top law firms in Nigeria were visited, and those are part of our advocacy visits that we embarked on. Still sensitizing them on these gaps that exist and calling for action on things that we could do differently. But we didn't stop there. We also embarked on a gender audit of all these law firms. Please move on to the next slide. So this gender audit that we embarked on was to collate information and data on what policies that they have, gender-friendly policies that they have in their firms, that is also making it easier for the female partners to thrive in their law firms. If you would like to see the outcome of the gender audit across these law firms, you can scan that barcode and download our Women in Law journal, which also details the pathways that we were able to design for different leadership pathways in Nigeria. Please move on. Then we embarked on the call for mentoring for female lawyers, and this shows the statistics of what the mentees were looking at. So the moment we made that call for the mentoring program, we had over 2,600 female lawyers signify interest in being a part of this. So it was important that our mentoring program is one that can accommodate this volume of skill and at the same time be very effective. Please move on. So we embarked on a group mentoring program where we had broadly 5 sessions with the over 2,000 plus female lawyers across the nation. First, we brought in different key stakeholders, partners from law firms, research experts from the International Bar Association to share an overview of all that they've been able to identify as gaps and how these female mentees can prepare the journey ahead. We then have our breakout session in the second channel where we got people in different pathways that have been identified. So the female mentees signified if they were interested in pursuing the pathway to becoming a senior advocate or becoming a partner in a law firm. And we got people, mentors, in different buckets to have breakout sessions with them, talk to them about their stories, real life scenarios, the challenges they faced, and how they were able to navigate it to get to those positions. Then we had our networking and negotiating forum, which we also know that when it comes to women generally, sometimes we could be timid about things like this. So we empowered them with the school skills and tools to embark on effective networking and negotiating, especially as a legal practitioner. Please move on. And then finally, we talked to them in the 4th session on how to thrive in the law space, building confidence, as well as how to navigate the politics and supports that might be required. The final session was now talking to them about going beyond the bar. And this is where we channeled energy on pro bono services and how they can also embark on policy reforms, as well as identifying laws that might be discriminatory as far as women in Nigeria are concerned. Please move on. The feedback from our mentees have been overwhelming. They were eager to blast this across social medias and even on our evaluation form. But one key thing I would like to highlight from the evaluation form is that over 60% of these mentees confirmed that their confidence have been boosted, they are inspired, and given their commitments to pursue working on different policy reforms, identification of discriminatory laws, and how this can be tackled. Please move on. We also featured other organizations working to support women in law. WISCA, for instance, they have a mentoring program too that is focused on working with more senior female legal practitioners. There's also the Nigerian Bar Association Women Forum, which is also focused on working with the female representatives in the association at large, just so that they can also leverage on all the necessary support that is available. Please move on. Based on the success that we achieved through this Women in Law mentoring program, we've had the Nigerian Bar Association formally reach out to WINBIZ, especially the Lagos chapter, to collaborate with us to organize another cohort of the mentoring program for this year, 2026. But the journey still continues because post this mentoring program, we have the mentees all were housed together in a WhatsApp group where engagement is ongoing, and we're following up with them to track their leadership advancement, to engage them on what they're working on with regards to advocacy, reform-oriented engagement, as well as professional and institutional engagement. As an overview, please move on to the last slide, I assume. To summarize our win through this initiative, First is that from the advocacy visits that we had to the law firms, one of the top law firms have been able to reach out to us and said, based on our agenda audits, based on our visits and advocacy conversation, they've internally reviewed their maternity leave policy from 12 weeks to 16 weeks, giving the female employees more time to bond with their child and at the same time be able to ease back into working in the workplace. A lot of the other firms too have been working on improving on the workplace flexibility so that it's easier. But if you look at the gender audit report, quite a number of these law firms were doing amazing stuff already, which is why we're showcasing them so that other law firms can adopt best practices that they're already embarking on. Some of them have crutches in their workplace, making it easier for new moms to come back to work and ensure that their ward is being well catered for and focus on work. Some have flexible workplace as well as paternity leave. Our Women in Law journal has received several downloads, and even some interested parties keep reaching out to us to get more insights and exploring more partnership with us to help, well, to support us in driving this change that we desire. Over 3 million people have been reached through our advocacy campaign and counting. And then from the mentorship outcome, apart from the fact that we're following up with these mentees on the policy reforms that they could drive, we are glad to know that over 60% of them have their confidence boosted and they're ready to go for the journey ahead. Our storytelling is still ongoing. You can visit the WIMBY's YouTube page for the podcasts to listen to the amazing stories and journey of some of these female lawyers and how they've been able to conquer the odds, and also about what they are doing to drive the change. I guess that will be it in a nutshell. I would also want to use this opportunity to invite you for the WIMBY's annual conference. We have our annual conference here in Lagos, first week in November. And we also have the international conference in London, which will be happening in June 13th. If you would also like to know more about what we do in WIMBY's, you could also reach out, share your contact details, and we'll be glad to furnish you information on our programs for the year, initiatives, as well as our impact report. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing all that WIMBA does. You're getting so much love in the chat and online. It's amazing work that you're engaged in. I'm so happy you were able to join us and share. We do have about 10 minutes baked into the program for questions, if you will indulge us, if you're able to stay on. So if there's any questions from the audience, please raise your hand. You can place those questions in the chat as well. While we're waiting for any questions to come in, I'm gonna indulge as the moderator and take this moment to ask some questions. It sounds like a lot of what you are doing, right, is building. You're seeing the gaps and you're building the bridges to get across them, right? Which is beautiful. I think so many organizations, that's what they have to do. They see that something's missing and they build it. And it sounds like what you're doing is so wildly successful. So that's amazing to hear. One of the questions that I had is, what mechanisms have you found that have been the most effective from turning advocacy into enforceable policy change?
Thank you very much, Emily, and thank you for the feedback. I will cite the typical example with the law firm that we got feedback from. Beyond the advocacy, the fact that we had that gender audit report, like a dashboard, showing what competition too is doing and also positioning this as the way to go is one of the key ways that you can ensure that that is done. I mean, especially in areas where you cannot enforce and make things a law, statutory, and all of that, is to show comparison. And even if possible, beyond the shores of Nigeria, for instance, it would be good to have a gender audit of what more international law firms are doing. Everybody wants to attain international standards, and we know that that also affects the perception of their stakeholders, their investors, and all of that. So it's good to have that kind of comparison and publicly release it out there. So they're eager to come back and say, hey, we've been able to adjust this and improve on this. Thank you.
Yes, it's the competition aspect, right? Make them all compete. I love that. I see Alexander has a hand raised, or sorry, Alexandra. So please, if you want to ask your question.
Hello, my name is Alexandra. I'm from Ukraine, and I have a question. First of all, thank you for this amazing presentation. And I have a question regarding digital violence, phishing, and that's something that is related to video content, video podcast. Have you faced with this negative aspect of our present time regarding women you supported and women who become more powerful but who were affected with digital violence? Thank you.
Oh, well, I mean, it's a reality when it comes to digital violence, digital bullying here and there. And that's why it's important too that we have women in positions where policies that can address this is in place, because when you as a woman have firsthand experience, or you know what another woman has gone through, it's easier for you to have a voice if you're in the room where those such decisions are being made. I mean, if I would make reference to some of the stories from the vodcast, we've gotten feedback from some of these female lawyers who've had their voice being shut down in rooms where, like, seriously, this is not where you're supposed to have your views being shared. And some being timid too, of being just putting themselves out there. And also the procedures of how some of these issues are addressed. So you have instances where even a woman speaks up that have had this kind of experience, and she's not getting the kind of audience or attention that such is required. So my first answer to that is yes, it is real and it does exist. But the solution still lies in the fact that we keep creating platforms for voices to be heard. Like I mentioned, some people didn't even know that the numbers, the figures, as far as the legal sector is concerned, were this wide until we started the campaign. So creating awareness, first of all, on where this exists, and being able to form engagements with the parties that are required to put policies in place to avoid that, because when there's no consequence, it continues. And that's why our mentees, we're really relying on them to be able to channel energy and focus on some of these issues and create awareness, as well as drive policy reforms, put in place laws that will address such insecurity, digital violence, bullying, and all of that from time to time. And if I would,
Thank
I
you.
mean, we're
Oh,
open
thank
to
you.
recommendation on suggestions on things that you think we should share with the mentees to tackle. The truth is, looking at the research conducted by the International Bar Association, the numbers and issues highlighted is not peculiar to Nigeria only, because they did conduct the research across, I think, 3 or 4 countries, Kenya, and I think even in India, and the realities are the same. So recommendations are welcome. Thank you.
It sounds like a great idea for your global meetup in London too. And I do see Shayla has a question. Shayla, before I turn it over to you, I do want to indulge one more question. We kind of touched on this, about holding institutions, employers, and governments accountable. You mentioned it's hard to hold them accountable. What have you found works, and how can you hold them accountable for these gender equality commitments?
So behind the veil, government is still the people. So in the long run, it's still about plugging the right people in the right holes, people that are passionate about these reforms, and people that are quite also vast and knowledgeable, to armed with information to be able to address some of these issues. And that way, it is easier to become accountable. If I have a very passionate advocate, female lawyer, being empowered to chair a certain committee that is responsible for institutionalizing policies that has to do with digital violence, even the society knows what to expect. And if she's not meeting up with that expectation, there will be so many track record to refer to that. You made this much promise. You were trying this much. Now that you're there, what are you doing? So it's to unveil government and find out who are the people behind the scenes, who are the people driving this change. If we do not have the right people there, the problems will persist.
I agree. And I think that's all a rallying call for us, come CSW, to remember. Yes, please, Shayla, thank you for your patience.
Thank you so much. Excellent presentations. The reason I have a question and a comment. The first is, let me introduce myself. I'm Shaila Rao Mistry, founder, CEO of technology companies, in the plural, aerospace, medical device, and STEM Institute that does consulting for these Fortune 500 companies. I've passed legislation on women, worked on passing legislation on women on boards in California, and I'm one of a handful of women in the technology leadership group. My comment and question is this. We are struggling, and we are constantly speaking about a voice at the table being heard. And one of the things that happens often, whether it's in person or in Zoom meetings, is a woman speaks up, has a wild, innovative idea, very rational, very sensible, makes a point of view, and it's in a mixed audience or all male-dominated audience. Often that opinion falls on silence. And what happens then is the next male speaker picks up on it and uses that your idea and goes forward. Of course, I don't allow that. I mean, I learned the hard way. And after 30 years of being in these leadership positions, I don't allow that. So I call it out, but not everyone is able to say that. So my comment and question is, are we training our entrepreneurs, our lawyers, our leaders in any field on how to handle that gracefully, but to call it out, not allow it to happen, because it happens way too often. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elia. And I first
Shaila.
want, Shaila, first, let me celebrate you for the work being done. And also thumbs up for always calling that out when it happens. It does happen frequently. And even in the mentoring curriculum that we had with our female lawyers, we had some sessions dedicated to that under the confidence building, negotiation, and how to handle office politics. Honestly, the first approach is to call it out. Like, oh, didn't I just say that? Exactly. That was the point I was making at this point, in a graceful manner, like you said, not confrontational, but just to reiterate the point that has been shared. So yes, we do train and engage deliberately in that space across all the sectors that we work with women. And we also have, a coalition that's also supported by the Gates Foundation, formed with other female-focused association, WISCA, WILAN, and the Nigerian Governors Forum, just so that we touch on all the three buckets and effectively trying to drive increased female representation on boards, while we also have the WINBOARD program where we train women on how to handle boardroom dynamics. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
I'd
much.
love to reach out to know more about what you do, so please.
Absolutely. I'll put my email in the chat. Yes,
All right.
absolutely. It's
Thank you.
life's work, building
Thank you.
leadership at high decision making.
Thank you, Shala.
And we love being able to provide this space to network and connect. So thank you so much. I'm so sad to have to bring this session to a close because this all the work that WIMBIZ is doing is so inspiring and phenomenal. We do have an update coming from UN Women, so we do want to get to that. But Omowanmi, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing the work that WIMBIZ is doing, and I hope that you continue all that amazing work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you, Anawumi, for that inspirational presentation. It's really incredible to see what is happening in Nigeria, and we know that it can be replicated all over the world. So congratulations. And thank you, Emily, for your blood, sweat, and tears in pulling this together. It was really worth all the effort. Thank you. At this time, we are delighted to have with us Kam Chemphabisuk from UN Women, who is going to give an update. Kam, the mic is yours.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Famila. Good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you for the invitations. I'm joining on behalf of my colleague Johannes, who is very well versed on CSW because he has been doing that for so many years. So I try to fill in as much information as I have, and then if I cannot answer some of your questions, I will take them back and respond later. A few things, a few updates for your information. So I'm going to go point by point, but also after my update, I would copy and paste all of these informations on the chat, so you also have them with you, especially all the relevant links. First, the NGO registration. The deadline for the registration is 23rd of January, which is quite approaching. We have only 3 days left. So we are looking forward to welcoming civil society to the CSW sessions in New York. A number of ongoing registration for representatives from NGOs in consultative status with ECOSOC have been very high. So far, the latest figure is that we have 6,300 CSO representatives have registered and been approved by their organization. So please ensure that all participants have registered and have been approved by their organization by the deadline of 23rd of January 2026, which is in 3 days at the latest. And we would not be able to accept late registration or late approval. I will share with you the registration link after this update on the chat. In terms, the second one is on the organization of work, which is already available. The proposed organization of work has been posted on the CSW 70 website in the section on official documentations. Again, I will share with you the link momentarily. The SG report on the review theme of the implementation of the agreed conclusion of the 65th sessions has been posted on the same page, but the SG report for the priority theme for CSW 70 has not been published yet, but we hope it to be publicly available shortly, and it will be posted on the same site where the organization of work is posted. Thirdly, is the global multi-stakeholder hearing in preparation for CSW 70. As you know, this is part of the key element of the CSW revitalization resolutions. There will be a global multi-stakeholder hearing in preparation for CSW 70 to be held on Monday, 2nd of February 2026 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. New York time. In New York, at UNHQ Conference Room 2 and online. So you can participate virtually and also in person in Conference Room 2. The invite has been sent out yesterday, I believe. Please let me know if you not have received it, and I can share it with you again for registration. So it provides an inclusive platform for diverse actors, member states, civil society, academia, private sector, and others to exchange perspectives and experience from local, regional, and global contexts. By leveraging this collective expertise, the hearing aims to identify actionable solutions that can accelerate progress on the priority theme. A summary of the hearing will be prepared by the chair of the commission as mandated by the ECOSOC resolution E/RES/2006/2. So the recommendation that Ivy presented this morning, I think it would be good to be there to present this recommendation to the commission, because it would be part of the official summary of the chair to be proposed to the committee. I will also post the email address of the hearing if you have any questions, so that you can write to the email. Fourth is the written statement. The NGOs in consultative status with ECOSOC have been submitted more than 200 written statements, which will be issued as a document to the commissions and will be published on the CSW 70 website 6 weeks before the session. So far, there would be 200 written statements. The next one is the oral statements and oral interventions. Subject to time availability, oral statements and intervention may be delivered during general discussions and interactive dialogue by a limited number of NGOs in consultative status with ECOSOC. Sign up for NGO in consultative status with ECOSOC wishing to make a statement or intervention. It's expected to be open from 26th of January to 9th of February via CSW website. Again, I'll post you the website. So if you are interested to submit your oral statement or interventions for general discussions and interactive dialogue for selections, the sign up will be open from 26th this month to 9th of February. And then if you're selected, you will be invited to present your oral statement in the dialogue. And lastly, it's about side event, the official side events organized by member states and UN entities. The austerities measure put in place due to the liquidity crisis, as you are aware, are expected to continue and affect all the meetings at UNHQ at the headquarters, including CSW side events. Because of the limited space and time availability, requests for joint side event will be prioritized. So priorities will be given to member states who jointly organize side event or UN agency who jointly organize side event instead of organize them separately. The deadline for member states or intergovernmental organization and the UN entity to register a side event and request a room space permitting is 31st of January. The schedule of side event is expected to be available sometime in mid-February. So if you are working with member state to organize side event, just make sure that they have to register the request for the room by 31st of January. So those are the updates I have for now. Pamela, let me copy and paste all of these informations and post them on the chat so that you can have the informations and the website and the deadline. I don't know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Com, for that comprehensive overview. We've received a lot or a good number of questions regarding visas. Do you have any information on visas?
In terms of visa?
Yeah.
It's as you are aware, we anticipate more challenges this year because of the current global political climax. You know, it's beyond the control of the UN because the visa is issued by the US government, and it's within the US government decisions only to provide visa. I think for CSW CSO members who are applying for visa should get the official letters from their organization as a supporting document for their applications, and we encourage colleagues and partners to apply as soon as possible, because we have heard that many US consulate and embassies have reduced their capacities in terms of processing visa in many countries across the world. But that's what we have been informed. But it's also a challenge for us UN staff to apply for visa as well. So we don't have more details than that, Pamela, unfortunately.
That was very good, very helpful. Thank you. Are there any questions from our audience? Well, thank you so much for being here. I know it was a sacrifice. We really appreciate you being with us, and please give Johannes our best regards.
Thank you.
Thank you, Com. Okay, and I will turn the meeting over to Rosa for closing.
Well, thank you all, 141 of us here who are here until the very end of this very informative, packed meeting. Thank you so much for joining us. You lift our spirits to be together, to see you. It's very important to come together like this. So we want to end with our slogan, equality, peace, justice, now. So I'm going to say, what do we want? And you're going to say equality, peace, justice. When do we want it? Now, to just give us that lift that we need to continue through the week. So what do we want?
Equality.
Justice
Peace,
justice
justice
now.
now.
When do we want it?
Now.
Now. Let's show everyone. Let's show everyone, because after this we're going to say goodbye, and we want to see the diversity of everyone. So let's feature everyone online, not just
turn on your cameras
can...
and unmute yourselves.
Exactly. If you can unpin us and we can see everyone. Wonderful. So, what do we want?
Equality,
Peace,
justice
now.
now.
Do we want it?
Now.
Good.
Egalità, giustizia.
Say it in your language. What do we want?
Equality,
Justice.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you,
everyone, to development.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank you.
Adios.
Bye, everyone.